All right, good morning, everyone. Okay. All right, we are going to wrap up with our final keynote of the day. Once again, I am Caitlin Lewis, SVP of Strategy Mission at Living Beyond Breast Cancer, and I'm honored to be here with you again today. Before I break into our final keynote, I did just want to take a minute and reflect on this weekend. Throughout the weekend, I've seen small and big acts of kindness and bravery and courage and grace, simply from opening doors for others, letting someone go first in line or in the bathroom, sitting with someone who is upset and consoling them, or offering joy, laughter, happiness throughout the conference. And aside from all the medical information and all the connections that have been made, my hope for you and LBBC's hope is that you take away those moments of connection and kindness and continue to practice that throughout the years. And before we break into the final keynote and we introduce the panel, I do want to introduce you to Elise Spatz-Kaplan with Gilead, who is one of our presenting sponsors for this event. Elise has been extremely generous with LBBC and the metastatic community for years. So welcome, Elise.
Thank you, Caitlin, and good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see your smiles, your presence. This is not about me. It's about all these wonderful people up here, so I'm going to keep my remarks brief. But I just want to say I've had the honor and privilege to be at this conference from the first year to today, minus a couple years during the pandemic. What strikes me is that some things change year over year. New discoveries are made, some years more than others. The audience changes. I see more caregivers, care partners, loved ones than I have in the past. But one thing stays the same. And Gina, the board president yesterday, ended by saying, it's the fellowship and sisterhood that never wavers, that strengthens. And so it gives me great joy to be able to see that not only did all of you come here to have access to medical experts, psychosocial experts, patient advocate experts, but you also came here to form relationships, to dispel the isolation and aloneness some of you may feel more than others, more days sometimes than others. But my hope, and what I witnessed this whole weekend from Friday night to right now, is the friendship, the sisterhoods. How many of you are leaving today with at least 3 new friends or contact information from at least 3 people? And I think almost every single hand is up. Continue to network with each other because you're all the experts. You're the CEO of your cancer, of your experience. And without further delay, I'd just like to pass it over to the panel for what I know will be a very informative and inspiring closing session. Safe travels, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity.
Back on? Okay. With that, I am incredibly excited and proud to introduce you to the keynote for our final session, Shared Voices. I'm excited to introduce you to the panel, Dr. Ginsberg. Dr. Ginsberg is a psychologist who has spent her career, 35 years, working with people diagnosed with cancer, and a member of Living Beyond Breast Cancer's Medical Advisory Board. She has helped us to continue to review information, encourage communication, encourage connection and holistic wellness, and we're incredibly grateful to have Dr. Ginsberg here with us today. We also have Holly on stage. Holly was diagnosed with MBC in 2023. Yvonne was diagnosed with MBC in 2019. Casey was diagnosed with MBC in 2023. Stephanie was diagnosed with MBC in 2019. And Bethany, who was diagnosed with MBC in 2021. There is so much more to learn about our panel, about Dr. Ginsberg, so please, to find further information, head to lbbc.org to learn about the fantastic panel. And with that, Dr. Ginsberg, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Oh, there it is. Hi, everybody. I am very happy to be back at this conference again this year. I enjoy coming as many years as I possibly can, so I'm thrilled to be here once again. And I'm thrilled to do this particular panel. I will say that over the course of my career, I have learned as much from my patients as I have learned in my training, maybe more from my patients. I can't get over sometimes how smart, how informed my patients are and become through the course of their treatment. So doing a panel like this is actually incredibly important because these are the experts of the lived experience of having metastatic breast cancer. I always think that, there are a few seismic events that happen over the course of a lifetime for all of us, for anybody, and having a metastatic diagnosis is one of those seismic events where everything shifts. It's like the click of a kaleidoscope. Suddenly everything is different and you see it completely differently. You see your life differently, and it impacts every aspect of your life and the lives of those around you, the people who are closest to you. And so hearing from people like you who are living this experience, and just the more we hear, the more informed we are. So I'm very happy to be here doing this particular panel. And I, as you can, in your programs, you can see that I am filling in for somebody who couldn't make it, so this was kind of a last minute thing, so I'm going to be using my notes quite a bit. I hope you forgive me for that. We're going to start with a question for Casey, if that's okay. I would like to know how your healthcare provider informed you about coping with metastatic breast cancer and your expectations for having metastatic breast cancer and living with metastatic breast cancer.
That's a great question. I'll take it back even a little bit before that, because there's someone here today who was the person who taught me what metastatic breast cancer is, and that's Jonice Lewis. She's my sister. Love her to death. She's my little angel. So that was the first time I ever heard about a metastatic breast cancer diagnosis, and you better believe that as soon as I got my diagnosis, I called her. So a lot of the information about this diagnosis came from Jonice, but also from my healthcare provider. And I did not go easy on my doctors. I got 3 different opinions, and the oncologist that I settled with, it was his optimism. It was his hope. It was the fact that it wasn't, his demeanor did not change when he found out that I was 32, when he found out that I had been misdiagnosed for 2 years. His demeanor did not change. He said, "We got this. We're going to do this together. You're going to be here for a very long time."
That's great to hear. It's great to hear. Steph and I, and we know it's pronounced Steph and I. Yeah. Steph and I, same question. How did your provider prepare you for what to expect?
Prepare me for what to expect. Great question. Was not prepared at all. I went to the doctor just thinking I was getting a cyst looked at, and when the breast cancer person came in, she said, "Oh no, this is cancer," and I said, "Okay." And my thing was not, why is this happening to me? It was, what is this trying to tell me? So I did my own research, and then I was connected to my oncologist, who is great, and I just asked her questions, and she said, "Darling, you're going to be here, forever." And I said, "Yeah, I have no plans on going anywhere." And it just progressed from there, and I am doing wonderful. I do my own research. I eat, I exercise, eat good. And not necessarily healthy, but good. And I'm thriving. I'm thriving.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question's for Bethany. I'd like to know, we know that coping with this diagnosis changes over and over and over again over time. And so can you tell us a little bit about how your coping style has evolved and changed over time?
Yeah, so For me, this wasn't my first cancer rodeo. I had stage 2 breast cancer in 2015. And right off the bat, mindset became my most crucial ally in this journey. You know, I noticed really quickly that what I was thinking and believing mattered, and how I thought about cancer, how I viewed my future, my body, medicine. And I had a lot of practice in shifting my mindset to gratitude, to hope, to finding the beauty, the gifts. I even published a book about it, you know, called My Guru Cancer. And I was in remission for about 5 years when chronic low back pain had me advocating for scans again, you know. And I will say that first diagnosis trained me in coping with cancer, but nothing can prepare you for hearing metastatic, incurable breast cancer. So my coping strategy at first was completely losing it, grief and feeling every emotion. And there was a lot of rage. There was a lot of, my God, I did all the things. Like, what more do you want from me, life? I was angry at the universe. And so I had to let myself really feel through those emotions. I couldn't bypass them. I couldn't talk myself out of them. And I think that that's a really important part of healing and coping, is feeling whatever you're feeling and knowing that that's valid and normal and okay. And then there hit a point where, you know, I guess if I were to give it a word, I would say acceptance. It's like, okay, like I didn't vote for this to happen. I didn't manifest it or create it. I know some people have theories about that. No. However, it is happening. And I hit this sort of sense of resilience, inspiration, where I was like, I'm going to make the best of whatever time I have left here. I hope that is so many, many, many years. But whatever it is, like, I am going to fully embrace life and live in the present moment and love bigger and all these things. So I actually decided to rename my diagnosis, and I know I've been told not to cuss here, so I won't cuss. However, I'm going to invite you all to try it on for yourself and use it. But I renamed our diagnosis as Live the F Out of Life. And I'm like, that's my diagnosis, it's my mission, and it's also my medicine.
I think what you said about rage is actually a really important point to make, because I think that of all of the emotional responses, first of all, rage is a normal response, but it's not a very acceptable response for women in our society. Our society has a hard time with women and rage or anger. And so the idea that all of your emotional responses are normal and should not be suppressed is actually a really important point. Thank you for saying that. Yvonne, I'd like to ask you the same question about how your coping style has changed or evolved over time.
Hi, everyone. My coping style has basically, the way I handle any life experience is how I handle cancer and everything that I go through. And number one is faith. Life is lifing. No matter what I'm going through, I try to think positive. And when I found out that the cancer had returned, after almost, I was 4 years and 11 months in. And the doctor was basically doing what she normally do, checking my neck, checking my shoulders, and she just basically said, "What is this?" You know, and it was a swollen lymph node. And from there, I'm like, okay, what's next? I didn't get nervous. I didn't get frustrated or anything like that. Just like my first diagnosis, it's like, what's next? What do we need to do? And basically, it wasn't a good experience. It wasn't a good experience with this oncologist. And she was my oncologist for like 5 to 6 years. And I did have to switch. And basically, my coping skills was basically just trying to trust her to make the right decisions. And unfortunately, one of my first experiences was I was put on a medication and it stopped working. And her next suggestion was, let's do a neck disectomy. That means let's remove those lymph nodes, you know, and worst decision ever. Instead of me just changing medications or treatment, she decided, let's do a neck disectomy. And from there, it's more like that caused more issues. We're talking about severe lymphedema. And basically everything, and she actually thought that removing those 2 or 3 lymph nodes was going to remove the cancer. But when you have, even I knew it wasn't going to remove the cancer. And I wish that I had a second opinion. But I trusted her because she said she talked to the other team members, and basically this is what they decided would be good. I'm like, okay, then let's do it. Otherwise, I would have gotten a second opinion, but I was trusting her. So needless to say, I basically switched doctors immediately. And I couldn't go within the same system for some reason. They wouldn't allow me to just switch to another oncologist with the same system, and it was horrible. So my first 2 to 3 years was horrible. Once I moved from that oncologist and went to another oncologist, he was horrible also. And basically what happened was, you know how they start you off on a treatment, and they start you off on a high dose. But I said, okay, I want to start in the middle. And he thought I was tolerating, even though he wasn't listening to me. He kept increasing the medication, and my side effects just got worse and worse. And when I would call the office, I said, hey, I'm not doing good. What do I need to do? No communication back. I heard from a triage nurse, and I never did hear back from the doctor. So after 2 days, I just finally said, hey, I'm going to the emergency. And luckily I did, because they ended up keeping me for 4 days for all the side effects that I had and the different diseases or dehydration, keto. I just had a lot of things going on, and unfortunately, I did not have this doctor supporting me and communicating with me. And that was on another treatment that I had went to, which was Piqray. And what came along with Piqray? Diabetes. Don't you know I wasn't even monitored for diabetes? That's one of the things they tell you to look out for. So needless to say, my diagnosis or glucose was over 400. So again, a lack of treatment by an oncologist who basically was not there for me. And unfortunately, I ended up taking myself again to the emergency at another point. Know why? No communication from the doctor. So what did I learn the first time? Go to ER. So I wasn't hospitalized, but I was there all day, getting treatment. So my first 2 to 3 years of coping with metastatic breast cancer was not good.
So difficult.
But now I do have a good oncologist who hears me, who listens to me, and yes.
Yvonne, I will say that your experience is probably not that unusual, unfortunately, but I think that you are the walking billboard for speaking up when you know something is wrong and your doctors are pushing you in a certain direction. And, it brings me to Holly. I'd like to ask you about how you make treatment decisions in terms of how you consider side effects or potential side effects, or the side effects that you're feeling, and how that gets integrated into your treatment decision making.
Well, I have been on my first-line treatment since I was diagnosed metastatic. I've been lucky. It's been doing great things for me. As far as side effects, fatigue is my main side effect, and I'm sure a lot of everyone's side effect, but I think that, palliative care really helped me through that experience of giving me some tools, suggestions on how to combat that. Also, my children help combat that because I keep going every day for them. Side effects, different ones, harder to deal with, hair loss, finding the right things to make you continue to feel like yourself is big, big benefit. So if you're looking to continue to feel like yourself, search for the right things that you think you need, because it really helps you live your life.
And again,
Well.
speaking up about that, right?
Yes,
Speaking up about the
yes.
things that are important to you, because they don't have to be important to other people. It's about you, and it's about what's important to you, and it doesn't have to make sense to other people. I remember years ago, Dr. Don Dizon, who's an oncologist who has presented at this conference many times, talked about a woman he was working with who had terrible neuropathy in her feet, and all she wanted was to be able to wear her high heels. And that was what was important to her. She wanted to feel normal, and that's what made her feel normal. And so that's what he switched treatments based on that, and that's okay. So, yeah. Casey, if you would also comment on managing side effects and making treatment decisions regarding that.
Absolutely. I'll say that conferences like this help. I remember my first conference for LBBC was last year, and I took 7 pages of notes. And even this year, I noticed that we didn't have the notepads, so I went and asked the Hilton staff. I said, I need one of those notepads because I need to take notes. So I take those notepads to my oncologist, and we have a conversation about it. So it's more of that, it's better to have the information and not need it, right? So it leads to a really constructive conversation with your oncologist. And I'm still also on my first line of treatment since being diagnosed metastatic breast cancer, but I know now what my next option is, and even what my next option is. And we can have those conversations about what the side effects are. We can, again, be more proactive about, do I need to find a cardiologist, or do I need to find a pulmonologist, or, the different types of doctors that I may need to add to my care team to manage the side effects of those future medications. So again, just having all of the information and crossing your fingers and hoping that you don't need it. But managing the side effects, I'm currently on a CDK4/6 inhibitor, and I have to say I'm very, very grateful and blessed to not have too many side effects. But one of those was hair thinning, and they told me that it happens to a fraction of the people on my exact medication. But exactly. It happens to more than they think. So when you have, my doctor didn't really know what to tell me when I told, he referred me to a dermatologist. And I was like, it's okay. I have a group of people that I know are experiencing the exact same thing, so let me ask them. So it's really also tapping into your resources, right? So I've been lucky enough to get involved with the advisory committee, these wonderful women up here, with the Young Advocate Group, with a couple of other organizations, and it's really just asking them, hey, is anyone on this medication? Is anyone experiencing this? What did you do for it, or what do you do for it? So also tapping into your resources.
Really smart.
Can I add one thing
Sure.
that I didn't add? One thing that really helped me make decisions too is I have a sister who's a nurse, and of course she's very involved in my care, wants the best for me. We do our own reading and research, and just having her there with me at appointments to help ask the questions that are important to get the answers that we need to make informed decisions with the oncologist. I think it's so important to have an oncologist that listens and wants you involved in your own care in a sense that they let you make the decision, but listen to your concerns. So if you don't have an oncologist that does that, I suggest you find one that works for you, because it makes a night and day difference.
Yeah, and also, the idea that you have a sister who's a nurse, taking advantage of those opportunities where you have people in your life who want to help you and have a way of helping you that you may not have access to. Saying yes to their offers for help and being specific about what it is that you're asking of them is helpful to both of you. It is a mutually beneficial relationship because they want to help and you need the help. So say yes to those offers of help. Bethany, I'd like to ask you how you first shared your diagnosis and how those conversations went, how you had those conversations.
I mean, my first sharing of the diagnosis was I had a low back MRI where I just went for low back pain and advocated for a while to get scans. I wanted to rule out cancer, but to be honest, I did not think it was cancer. I was just ruining my ski season and adventurous life in Colorado, so I was like, I want answers. But I got a phone call 2 hours after that MRI from my doctor, and I was alone at home, and he said his first words were, are you sitting down? And I'm like, I am now. Oh crap. And he shared that there were lesions all over my spine, and later I found out in my liver and lymph nodes and some fun places. So my first announcement was a panicked call to Tim, my husband, or boyfriend at the time of only 1 year. And so it was, there was zero thought. It was just panic and trying to get that support, and he was on his way rushing home. And my family, again, like zero thought through of just wanted to talk, and they were there for me immediately. I had already been sharing publicly about my cancer journey, so I was already like in that space, and I wanted to be, but it took a while. It took a few weeks for me to be able to share that news publicly. I also knew it would be hard for people to hear, that people, not that they'd feel let down, but it's heartbreaking to hear that kind of news. And so, but it was also important, to share publicly and honestly and vulnerably. And that's something that really feeds me in my journey. Like, I get a lot of connection, a sense of purpose in sharing. I really love it. I know it's not for everybody, but if it is something you're curious about, I would encourage you to try it out, because it has made my journey so much richer, to be able to connect with so many women that are also going through this, because nobody understands unless you're in it. And then I already forgot really what the question was, but did I answer it?
I think you answered it, but it was about how you had those conversations with the people closest to you.
Yeah, and I'm just, I want to be sensitive, like the people that love and care about me, and this is such a heartbreak for them too. And I want to join you in heartbreak. Like, I want to be with you in suffering and disappointment. Like, none of us wanted this, and our loved ones don't either. And we have our own journey going through this, and so do the people that we really, really love, and it's really hard for them too. So there's just a lot of sensitivity and encouraging them. I want to know how they're feeling. I want to know what they're thinking, and I also want to make sure they're supporting themselves with this too. So open communication, honest, raw. I'm lucky to have an amazing support system. And if I'm not getting that support from someone, I'm going somewhere else for it, because we deserve to feel really held and supported.
And along those lines, as a psychologist, I've been in the room with many families as they talk to each other about this diagnosis. And what often will happen in families, and it may sound familiar because I think that probably a lot of you have experienced this, is that everybody kind of goes to their separate corners, at least initially, where you are trying to protect your family's trying to protect you, so nobody's really sharing honestly about their feelings. And that protective buffering is really damaging to those relationships. And so it is important that if that's what you're experiencing in your family with your loved ones, those closest to you in that inner circle, that you do something about that you seek counseling services to help you talk to each other about how you're feeling in a more honest way. Stephanie, I also want to ask you that same question about how you had those conversations.
My first conversation was when I was told that, I had cancer. My first conversation was to sit and my faith, talk to God. What the heck? Yo, dude, what the heck are you doing? What is this? How am I supposed to handle this? And I was diagnosed March 13, 2019. From that point to this very day, I have not cried once. It's not why me, it's why not you. So what am I supposed to do? And then the conversations that I have with God is like something I would have with Bethany or Casey. Yo, like, what the hell is this? Sorry. You know, what are we supposed to do with this? You know? So I'm like, you know, what is it that you want me to do? And it has become very clear to me that my testimony is going to be someone else's survival guide. You know, thank you. They're going to get through this because of the experiences that I have. And right now, I'm studying for my personal trainer's license because I want to open up a gym for cancer patients. So I'm here for a reason. And me and the man upstairs, that's my dude, you know, and we're going to get through this together, and I don't have to cry about it. My path is laid out. I talk to him before I do anything. Then I talk to my kids, and my daughter, who is the worry wart, oh my God, she was the strong one. My son, who is a nurse, he is a float pool nurse at Christiana Hospital, and he's the one who broke down. And I'm like, what the heck? You know, well, what am I going to do without my mom? And my daughter was like, you're not going to be without your mom. So we had the conversation, and my daughter was like, man up, you know, man up. And so we get through it together, you know, and my other son, he lives in Atlanta, and I called him, and he was like, okay, I'm on my way home now. For what? What are you going to do? You know, well, Mom, I need to be there. Why? You know, so they all three got together, and it's like, well, what are we going to do for Mom? You're not going to do anything. You're going to let me handle this because this is my diagnosis. So it's just me. I have that takeover spirit, and I took over my own treatment. And I don't need you, you know, when I need you, you're there. When I don't need you, I need you to be over there too. So that's how I deal with stuff. And I'm fine. Like I said, I'm fine.
Great. Great. She's fine. Do you see those jeans she's wearing? She's more than fine. The question always comes up about talking to children, and whether you have adult children or younger children. Holly, I think you have younger children. Can you talk a little bit about your conversations with your children?
Yes. So, I don't know. You think that, or I thought, you know, this is something that I should put a lot of thought into, do a lot of research before I break the news to them. I have children ranging from, my oldest is 18, youngest is 4. And so obviously they understand different things. You can't say something and have, you know, I have cancer, you know, I'm doing treatment, I hope I'm here for a long time, but we just don't know, to all of them and have them understand it the same way. I think it wasn't really one event. I think we did break the news to them that I was sick again because this was my reoccurrence. And, you know, just, I think for the most important part to me was showing them that I could continue to be their mom, that we can do strong things. We can get through this. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be your mom. And we're gonna make new memories, and it's gonna be happy even though this is going on. So that motivated me in a way to continue to live the best that I could and help them just understand that even though this very difficult thing is going on, our lives are normal. Mom is mom, and she's still gonna be our mom, even though this is happening. So yeah, just modeling that difficult things happen to everyone, and it's not always cancer. It could be, you know, a car accident or something else in your life, but you get through it and you keep living.
Powerful message. Yvonne, can you talk a little bit about how the diagnosis has changed the relationships in your life, good, bad, or indifferent?
Yes, I can. How have the diagnosis changed the relationships in my life? You know, when people see me, they don't see cancer. I smile all the time. I still do everything I normally do. I work every day. You know, I never miss work because I'm sick, because I just push through. I'm single. Like I said, I still work every day. So basically, it has not really changed my relationship with the people that are in my life. And I have to remind them, actually, that I have cancer. I can't do what y'all can do. I can no longer walk as far as y'all can walk or hang out with y'all like I used to. So basically, they don't see cancer. It's me having to remind them that I do have cancer, and that includes my family members, because most of them live away from me in a different state. And every time you call me, I'm like, hey, what's up? Hey, you know, I'm just happy. But they don't know I am really catching it, you know, from all the side effects that you go through. But I don't let other people really see what I'm going through, basically, unless you are a survivor. Well, not even survivors really understand NBC, you know. So basically, I have to educate them also and let them know that, hey, I'm still going through treatment. It's not going to end. And basically, I just got to listen to my body and do what's best for me. But otherwise, my relationship has basically been the same with all my friends and my family. You know, I'm still that happy person, you know, because it's just who I am naturally. Yes, so.
Great. It's a very common experience, I think, for people to have to remind the people around them that they are still, that this is still in their lives, that they are still coping and managing and in treatment, and what that treatment does to them. So I think that that is a kind of a universal experience for most people with this diagnosis. I want to go to see if there's any questions that have been texted in.
Yes, we have one question. Does faith play a role in coping? And if so, how have you incorporated it in this journey?
I'd like to just go down the line real quick, because we've kind of talked about, a couple of people have mentioned their faith, but if we could just kind of go down the line quickly to talk about how you utilize faith or not in your coping strategies. Holly?
I do utilize faith. I don't attend church regularly. Unfortunately, we live in a very rural area, busy life, but I do talk to a higher power and believe that everything I'm going through, you know, has a purpose through him. My mom passed away right before I was re-diagnosed, and I speak to her a lot through this, you know. Mom, keep me here, you know, I need to be with my kids, which you know, I know she's with me all the time, so she's also my higher power.
That's great. Yvonne?
Yes, faith plays a major part. Matter of fact, it's number one in my life. I have to rely upon God. I have to trust God that no matter what happens, not just cancer, but anything that happens in my life, just trust God, stand still, and I'm very involved in being a part of church, ladies' Bible classes, whatever, through Zoom, especially since the pandemic. I have there's a lot of people that's praying for me. And even when I don't pray for myself, I know they're praying for me, because they also letting me know they're praying for me. So definitely, trusting God is number one for me, before anything else. You know, because we can't do anything about this. And that's probably one of the reasons why I don't worry about whatever is happening. When a treatment ends, and when it stops working, and it's time for me to go to another one, okay, I'm just ready. Whatever life gives me, you know, trust God. You know, not another human being, of course, just trust God.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you. Casey?
I'll kind of agree with Holly a little bit. I don't attend church regularly. I didn't grow up going to church, and it's just not something that I've kind of continued into my family. But I do believe in God, and I talk to God. I know that there's a higher power, and I do have faith. But one of the special things that I think that's come out of my diagnosis is my friends' faith. And my family members' faith. And when they call upon their higher power for me, or when they involve me in that, the night before a PET scan, I call my best friend and we pray together. I did a story on my local news and I prayed with the reporter. And it's those moments that I'm so thankful for. So I do believe and I do have faith.
Thank you.
My faith plays a major role, if not the role, in my life. I trust God. Like I said, you'll do, what's going on. I trust Him. I have developed a mantra where it's going to be okay even if it's not okay. And no matter what, He's going to guide me, and He's going to get me to where I need to be. And where I am now, I'm in a very good place. I really cut out all negativity in my life. If you're bringing some type of negative energy up, stop it. I gotta go. I don't have time for this. If it's not positive, keep it moving, dude. Bye. I was in a relationship when I was first diagnosed, and it was so stressful. And we had been together for 4 years, and he was talking marriage. No, you're not going to stress me. And I truly believe that if he and I were still together, I'd be 6 feet under somewhere. So right now, I'm in a totally different type of relationship with someone from my past, and it's like, babe, what do you need? What do you need me to do? And nothing, just sit there. I got this. So, God has put someone else in my life, and my kids and my grandson. My grandson, I call him Pork Chop, he calls me Pretty. And he's like, Pretty, how do you feel today? I feel good, Pork Chop. That's good, that's God. Yeah, that's God. So he is very instrumental in my life, and I wouldn't be where I am today without God.
Thank you. Bethany?
I love you. Yeah, faith for me, it's a different word. I use, universe or life. I believe in some kind of higher power and have conversations with that higher power. And sometimes I'm begging and pleading or going, what the hell is happening here? Or asking for guidance and clear signs. And, I mentioned when I found out about the diagnosis, just this strong anger towards the universe, and I had this belief that the universe isn't on my side. And I questioned that belief and explored, the opposite of the universe has my back and the universe is supporting me. And I started to see how faith plays out in the people that are surrounding us. That's also the universe and God at work. And medicine is God at work and supporting me. And when I started looking through life in that lens, it was like, God, where is there not love and support in this journey? And that gave me just a lot of comfort and safety as well.
That's great. Thank you. Casey, I'd like to ask you, you've mentioned a couple of times about reaching out to the MBC community and to friends. Can you talk a little bit about a tip that you might give to loved ones or caregivers or friends on how to be most helpful to you?
That's a very tough question because I think, my instinct is just offer support in any way that you know how. But oftentimes, the patient or the person, they don't know what they need. And I think that's kind of the hardest. It depends on where you are in your journey. And it's kind of hard to know what you need and know what to ask for from the people who are in your life. But I think just constantly showing up is the most important. Something that I instilled with my friends right after my diagnosis was I want to make memories with you because it's one of the only things I can take with me when I go. I can't take superficial items. I can take memories. So let's plan the trip. Let's do the thing. Let's go somewhere. Let's make the memories. And that's something that's been, yeah, exactly. Some of my travel friends, yes. We've made amazing memories together. So that's something that's really important to me, and something that, you know, I keep reminding my group that is important to me. So it's really just, I guess, like, just, you know, having that open conversation because our needs are going to change, and being willing to ask for those needs when you're ready for it.
How do I join this travel group? Okay. So anybody else have a tip for their caregiver? Yes, Holly?
I think caregivers, friends offer specific things. I feel like we make decisions every day, all day long, about our treatment, how we're living our life. When someone comes up to you and they say, "Let me know if you need anything." Thank you for offering, but no, I'm not, you know, like, or somebody comes up and says, "Is it okay if I bring you a meal next week?" That is extremely helpful. You know, so offer what you can provide, what you want to provide, what you're good at providing, but be specific.
That's a great tip. Yes, definitely.
Don't offer to bring me food if you can't cook. Please. I have my favorite cousin over there. She will bring me anything I need, but she can't cook. But
You know your role. You know your job,
but
right?
what she can do, she can stop at a store and get me something I like. So please, if you can't cook, don't offer us to bring us a meal. Please. Please. That's my tip.
You know, I have to say, using, you know, I'm always so inspired, but, you know, being able to laugh at yourselves, being able to laugh at your circumstances at times is just so critically important. So many good things happen in our bodies when we laugh. All of these good, feel-good hormones and neurotransmitters are happening, and they're healing. Those are healing chemicals. And so being able to get to a place where you can have some humor about your life, I think, is a really important thing, and it's very inspiring to see here today. I think that having a MBC diagnosis equals learning to live with uncertainty. And we've, you know, our whole lives we live with uncertainty, but it comes into very clear focus when you have this diagnosis. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about managing uncertainty and any tips you have or things that have worked really well for you that you'd like to share. Bethany?
Yeah, when you think of, you know, a lot of people talk about how, like, I'm terrified of the unknown. And that's a really understandable experience, but it's also not true. Like, when you're scared about the future, you're not in the unknown. You're in an assumption of what that future looks like, and it probably looks really awful. And I can't tell you how many times that when I am freaking out or in pain or suffering or feeling hopeless, my mind left my real life. And it went into a future where my body's, you know, declining, decaying. I'm in hospice. I'm saying goodbye to my loved ones. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've passed away in my mind. So to give yourself a reality check in those moments and to, like, come back to what's real right now, the mind is so good at going to worst case scenarios. It's as talented as heck as doing that. And so, like, I will try to catch those movies running in my mind and then take a few deep breaths and remind myself of what's real right now. And that might be just touching this chair, you know, or touching the scan bed and being like, okay, here, this is real. Or I'll, like, see the paintings on the wall, or I'll look at, you know, the sweetness in someone's eyes. The pearls on her pants are so cool, by the way. You know, and I'm here. Like, I come back to the present moment. That really supports me. And, you know, being faced with your mortality, it's obviously a tough experience, but there's also a lot of beauty in that, where it's like, yeah, let's do the things now, like, and what brings me joy, what lights me up, what makes me feel alive. That is also an important part of our treatment plan. And so I'm skiing my little butt off right now because 2 months ago I could barely walk. And I was in a scary place and had a lot of progression. I'm on my 4th line of treatment. And I will say the treatment that I'm on right now, I don't know if we're sharing names of drugs or anything. Is that allowed? So I'm on Enhertu right now, and holy crap, guys. After just one treatment, I was off of opioids and pain meds, and I went skiing on Christmas Day. Like, just as quickly as things can go one way, they can also go the other. So I draw a lot of hope in stories of other women. I'm having that experience in my body myself, and that also helps me, make peace with the unknown.
Being present, learning to do that, that is a learned skill. Most people are not great at that automatically because our minds very automatically go to the worst case scenario. That is automatic negative thinking. We call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. We're good at that. We're really good at that. And that's innate. But we can learn how to become skillful at being present. And so I've had a lot of patients in my office say to me, I can't do that. That's not how my brain works. I can't do it. You can do it. I want you to, if you think you can't do it, I want you to try to learn. Put the effort in, take the time to learn how to do that. You can learn online. You don't even have to go to a therapist, to be quite honest with you. You can learn mindfulness strategies online. You can learn from friends. You can learn from organizations that are offering free services. It is a really important coping mechanism and one that is incredibly powerful. And the research really bears that out. Our research shows that mindfulness strategies are incredibly helpful to reduce depression and anxiety. So that is a learned skill.
And I just want to add to that too, a lens that I put on cancer starting with my first diagnosis is instead of fighting it, going into battle, seeing it as an enemy, I welcomed it as a wise teacher in my life, and I call it my guru cancer. And when you think about like anyone that's gone to a yoga retreat or wellness or mindfulness, like what are we going there for? Like we're going to learn how to be present, to love ourselves, to embrace life, to cope with things. And if you think about it, cancer is like the best teacher of that. I mean, I have to stay in the present moment. I can't live in that scary future. It's an awful life if I do. And so looking at cancer or any challenge, even side effects, to see like what is it teaching me about myself, about life, is a way, in my opinion, become empowered from it, and always have like a growth mindset around it.
And if you think about the energy of being in a fight with something, if you are battling against something, battling against cancer or anything in your life, the energy of the battle is a very different energy than the energy of the learner. And so I really want you to consider, I know that there's a lot of talk out there about being a cancer warrior and fighting, being in the battle, but it's just something to consider if that's not working for you, to reframe that in a way that works better for you. That this is how powerful a mindset actually is.
I would like to touch on that.
Yeah.
Self-love is very important, extremely important. However you can get it, love yourself. I love me some me. I'm gonna tell you. I'm sure you can tell, but I love me some me, and self-love is very important to me. I take time for myself. I go get my nails done, my feet done, my eyebrows done, my hair done, a massage. It's all about me. When you get to this point in life where you're battling a terminal illness, it has to be all about you, and you have to make it about you. You can't take the time to wait for Mary Sue or Stacy to come and make it. You have to grab onto it, and you have to be responsible for your self-love. Just remember that, and it's nothing wrong with loving yourself. It's nothing wrong with it. Love on yourself, please.
There's everything right with it. Yes, yes. Casey?
So your question about coping with the uncertainty, I think I kind of see it the opposite. And maybe this is kind of like my coping mechanism, and I'm maybe a little bit dark, but I'm a realist. I'm not, like, I don't put myself in the optimist category. I don't put myself in the pessimist category. I'm a realist. I'm a planner. I like to know what my next steps or what my next 5 years are going to look like. So to me, in order to cope with this, I know what's at the end of the page. You know, I know I'm going to die, but I think I use that to be more intentional in the time that I am here. So let's make the most of it. Let's turn that around. Let's just be real. Let's face what it is. Let's face the facts, and let's use them to our advantage.
I don't think that's dark, by the way. I don't see that as being dark or morbid. I see that as, again, whatever your coping strategy is, if your coping strategy is standing on your head for 3 hours a day, go ahead, like whatever works, really. So that's really helpful.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
I just want to say, with little kids, and I'm sure all of you going through this that have kids as well, you see all the things that you're going to miss. Like definitely in the beginning, like I'm going to miss their prom, I'm going to miss their wedding, I'm going to miss all these things. And I was of that mindset initially, and I've been in counseling the whole time, every 2 weeks. Because I can't do this alone, and it has taught me so many things, and one of it is acknowledging the issue. I mean, okay, when you wake up in the morning and you're having a bad day, you didn't choose that day, but you're having the bad day, it's okay to acknowledge it and live in that sadness and live in that fear in the moment, cry, be mad, but then you can also decide you're not going to wear that ugly shirt today and put it in the back of your closet. And that's kind of like having that analogy. I have a big closet, lots of clothes, lots of ugly shirts that I don't ever wear. But just choosing to deal with that at the time that you want to deal with it. You have control over it. I'm going to have a good day today. Or I'm going to live in it today, and tomorrow's going to be a good day. So yeah, pay attention to how you're framing your thoughts, and there's ways to frame them in a positive way. And I love your attitude towards it. I'm also a realist. I'm trying to move towards that, but it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. None of this is easy. So pick what's hard. Pick your hard. Pick what you're working on. This is hard. It's the hardest. So pick what's hard for you. If improving your experience of this is your hard, then work on it. That's worth working on, because this is what you're living with. That's the realist point of view. You are living with this. So, Yvonne, I'd like to hear from you too about dealing with uncertainty.
I deal with uncertainty basically by not worrying. I try not to worry. I turn it over to God. If there's something that's out of my control, I have to let it go. And there's a lot of things besides cancer that's not in my control that happens to me. So basically, I try to stay positive. I try to learn from whatever I'm going through, not just focus on the negative. My main go-to is focus on the positive. What can you learn? What are you learning from this experience? So basically, my goal is every day, stay in the present. I cannot worry about what's going to happen tomorrow or what the results from this scan is going to be, because I got to live for today. And my goal right now is to find some type of joy and happiness in dealing with everyday life. Not just cancer. I keep saying not just cancer, because everything is happening. Life is lifing. And I cannot worry about stuff that's out of my control, basically. So again, I just turn it over to God, and I try not to worry about things that I have no control over. And that doesn't just happen. It's like it takes practice. When you catch yourself worrying about the uncertainty, worrying about things you have no control over, let it go. Let it go. Give it over to God. And that's my faith. So
Yes,
I just, there's that saying that's out there, Yvonne, and I know you've heard it, let go and let God. And that's what I do. You know, I'm not going to sit there and worry about what happened yesterday. I'm going to live in the present, and I'm not worried about what's happening tomorrow. I am the queen of documentation. So I have everything from the day I close my eyes and everything that I want. Okay? It's all in my closet. It's in a file cabinet, and I don't want a funeral. I don't want everybody coming down, looking down at me. No. Cremate me and put a picture up there, and we go from there. I don't want a funeral. So they know my kids know all my wishes. And don't take my insurance money and burying me and all that. No, you take that money. My thing is, you get me cremated, you take me to my favorite island, the Cayman Islands, and you sprinkle me there and say bye and just keep going. Okay? Live with your life. And I told them I have 4 vows for my 3 kids and my grandson, and they have pretty mom, mom, and mom. And in it, I told them to put my ashes in it, and I want them to take a little bit of those and go get a tattoo. Take my ashes, and my son, who's the nurse, I don't think that's healthy. I don't care. That's what I want, you know. So we're going from there. But no, you have to you live in the present, and you don't worry about the uncertainties because you can't, you know. And like I said earlier, it's going to be okay even if it's not okay. So keep that in mind.
You know, I'm very struck by that each of you has a very conscious strategy about coping with uncertainty, that you've thought about it, that you work on it, that it's something that is a daily, you have to be working on it all the time, really, because it's, you know, to stay with it, I think is difficult. And it might need to change over time, too. It might need to continue to evolve. But it's interesting to me that each of you is very conscious of what your strategy is. I think that that's very helpful. So I want to check in to see if there's any other questions.
We have some great questions. Building off of what you just said, Dr. Ginsburg, it's so apparent that you all have spent the time and invested in your own mental health and getting through the journey that you're on. We had some questions about dealing with maybe friends, family who have that more toxic positivity mindset, and how do you deal with those people in your life and also maintain your peace?
Yes, definitely.
You gotta go. You gotta go. Bottom line, you gotta go. You're not bringing that crap into my life. I have other things to think about than your negativity, so you gotta go.
So we're talking also about the phrase toxic positivity, which is those people who say to you, you have to stay positive. I have a whole thing about this. You know, it's not possible. It's impossible to only stay positive through this experience. It's not possible. It's absurd. Don't let people tell you that you have to stay positive. Being positive is nice, and when you can be more positive, that's helpful, but you can't just stay there. And so it's such a good question. How do you deal with those people who tell you you just have to stay positive? Yes, Yvonne.
Not just that you have to stay positive, but you're strong. You can do this. You've been doing this all this time. You're a strong person, you know. Basically, sometimes you just let them say what they say because they don't know what else to say, you know. So you just say, yeah, or you're like, yeah, you're right. You just go with the flow. And you stay away, again, from negative people. If you know that they are downers, I'm the same way, like Steph and I don't do negative. I can't, because this journey is hard. And it's like, I try to eliminate anyone in any programs, TV, politics, whatever. I don't need none of that. I got my own issues. So I'm keeping it out of my household, keeping it away from my ears or whatever. I'm listening to positive things in life, and that includes positive music or whatever. But definitely, I basically just stay away from negative people, or don't even bring up the conversation. Like I stated before, they don't even know I have cancer, or they forget I have cancer, because I don't want to talk about it. I'm not cancer. I have cancer, but I'm not cancer.
Yeah.
So I don't live my life like I have cancer.
Yeah.
So
You have cancer, but cancer
don't
doesn't
have
have
me.
you.
yes.
Casey?
Yeah, the only thing that I'll add to that is I haven't necessarily experienced the toxic positivity, I would say, because I think I was stage 4 de novo. So, right out the bat, I was stage 4 metastatic incurable. And again, going back to me being a realist, and how many times this weekend have I caught myself saying, if there's something to say, I'm going to say it. I don't like to, I don't like to do that. So I've said it. I've had very hard, very real conversations with some of my friends, and unfortunately, I've lost friends because of this diagnosis, because they could not handle my real. It was too hard for them. So I think speaking your mind, saying what you have to say, don't continue to let that toxic positivity or whatever other trait is happening happen, because like Steph and I said, it's not worth it. You got other things to worry about.
Yeah.
I think depending on how close that person is, I mean, if they're a close person, have that discussion. Like, yeah, I'm a positive person in general. However, this is my reality that I deal with. And do I have bad days? Yes, of course.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't feel like it. You don't feel like the bull crap, You don't feel like, I don't want to be positive today, but you find a light to continue that positivity. And my thing is in the morning, you wake up and you make up. I could grab my lipstick, wash my face, grab and I make up. I'm dealing, someone said to me, you're always dressed, you're always, just because I know I'm sick, I don't have to look sick. And I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
When I walk out my house, yes, I am put together from head to toe. Okay? That's me. But that's not everyone, and that's how I deal with the positivity. And if you're coming to, and you're saying this and bye. You got to go. I don't care, if well, you look good today. Yeah, I know, thanks. And I keep moving. That's just me. Like I said, I love me some me.
Bethany?
Me. I don't even know what topic we're on anymore. It's funny. I often have people tell me, like, how are you so positive and happy all the time? And I'm like, where did you get that from? Like, I don't claim to be happy and positive, but I am a happy, positive person. But I experience the full range of emotions. And I think that is why I'm a happy, positive person, is because I give myself permission to grieve, to be angry, to feel the sadness or hopelessness or despair when it comes up. I just don't want to live in that space. So I work really hard not to stay there very long, but I let myself feel it. And I think that's it's crucial to healing and crucial for happiness. And the other thing I think that, the stage 4 life has taught me is that it's okay to grieve the life you thought you'd have. It's okay. We thought life was going to go a way different way, and it's okay to grieve that life. And that grief can also coexist with gratitude and with joy and with anger. It can all live together. You don't have to commit to just one emotion. And that's been a new experience for me, to just really honor all of it. And then when people are like, oh, just be happy or be thankful you're alive or, whatever, that's their stuff. It really doesn't have anything to do with me. It's often people projecting their own fears, onto me. And I kind of just, I let them have it. But if it's someone's close to me that's consistently doing it, I will speak up. And I'm like, hey, listen, I need permission to lose my shit with you. Are you a safe place for that or not? And if you're not, then you're not my person for that. And luckily I've got great people for that.
I think that that's a really important point, and Holly, you mentioned it too, that we have to know who it's worth having that conversation with and who it's not worth having that conversation with, because you don't have to have that conversation with everybody. It is not your job to teach everybody about MBC. Sometimes we want to, but you don't have to. And so you get to choose who in your life you're saying what to. And so I always think about layers of the onion, that core of the onion, your core people. You want to have that conversation if they're continually saying things that are upsetting you or offending you in that way. But the people on the outside, the papery part of the onion, you don't have to have that conversation. The person you run into in the grocery store, you're not obligated to have that conversation.
I think that reevaluating your boundaries after going through something like this is extremely important. You know, what you let in all the way to the core is very important to your mindset and how you deal with things. So reevaluate those boundaries and who you let in, who you don't, who you let get to you, and who you don't.
You are the gatekeeper. You are your own gatekeeper. You get to choose who you're letting in and who you're getting rid of, you know? By the way, we all love us some Steph and I.
Steph and I pill that we can all take. I would sign up for that. Clinical trial.
It's still in the making. It's coming to a pharmacy near you real soon.
We only have a few more minutes. Let me do one more question from the group.
Are you part of a local MBC community? If so, how did you find it?
Good question. Yvonne?
I'm part of the Sisters Network in Dallas location, and that's my monthly Zooming. That's my surviving group. We're like family. I've been a member for like 10 years. So basically, that's my group,
Good.
Sisters Network.
I belong to a few different groups. One at my church. I belong to Tiger Lily, and I belong to Touch. I am very instrumental in the Black and brown community because we don't get a lot of information that my sisters may get. You know, yeah, we're all sisters, but some information is not given to us. Like, we don't know a lot about the clinical trials that are there. So I take it on personally to make sure that, you know, in this community that we're educated, that we get any way that I can get the information out there. If I have to stand on the soapbox I'm from Philadelphia, in the middle of Broad Street, you know, and put up a big sign, I'm going to do it, you know, because it's very important for just all the community, but especially the Black and brown, because we don't get it.
Okay.
So.
Casey?
I'm a member, obviously, of a lot of organizations, a lot of which are MBC only. Some are local to maybe Florida or like the Southeast United States, and some that aren't. And, you know, we can keep in touch with each other over a group message, or we do virtual meetups. I'm a part of Dana-Farber's support group, and I've never been seen a day in my life by Dana-Farber. But it's the connections that I've made that I've been able to become a part of those groups. But I will say, being a member of part of these groups is a double-edged sword.
Yes.
And it's not something we have any time to talk about today, but obviously, you know, the more people you get to know, the more conferences, the more groups you become a part of, the more people you love throughout this community and this journey, the more people you're going to lose. And that's something that you have to be aware of. It's part of that reality. And it's part of, I think, going back to what you said, Dr. Ginsberg, of knowing what your coping mechanism is before you decide to join a group, before you decide to branch out, because you're going to need something to fall back on, because the inevitability is it's going to happen. You're going to have to face that.
Yeah. Yeah. Bethany?
I actually don't have a big in-person local network. It's really Instagram is my main support group of just like if I have a problem or trying to figure something out, I'll post the question out there on social media, and there's always someone that like has been through it or just went through it, and you can find so much connection that way. So it's a lot of online friends, and then the experience of getting to meet people in person once you have that like online relationship. Like there's some friends that we were supporting each other for like 7 or 8 years, and 2 of them came to my wedding last year, and it was like, oh, like it was such a heart-opening experience. And like this is my first cancer conference, and I don't know what I've been doing for the past 10 years. It's super dumb. Like I heard this was going on for 19 years. I'm like, where have you been all my life? So that will change. But having the experience of like literally looking around the room and being like, I mean, I've never been in a room with this many people that share my diagnosis. So I think I'm more motivated now to find like that in-person connection too.
Thank you. And as we wrap things up, I know, Holly, I didn't get a chance to ask you that question, but I know that you've all prepared one word that you hoped that you haven't? The one word or phrase that you hope that people will take away from this session today. We'll come to Holly last. Yeah, Yvonne?
I'm just going to say blessed. Think about your positives. You're blessed. You're here today. Blessed.
Thank you. Casey?
Again, reality. I literally tattooed my word on me. It's alive. I'm here. I'm here today. I'm alive today.
Nice.
My word is from my sorority. They gave me the name Relentless, and that's me.
Yeah, nice.
I would say I have so many words. Connection. Connection, community, and gosh, it may feel lonely, but we're not alone.
Nice. Holly?
I'm going to say purposeful. This weekend really served a purpose for me, and that was filling a void. I don't have any local groups. There's not a lot of women close to me. I live in the middle of nowhere. So to be around so many people like this is just, it really filled a void and had a purpose in my life.
Great. Thank you. I want to thank all 5 of you for being honest, for being forthcoming, for being willing to sit up here and talk about your experiences, and thank all of you for coming to this very important conference. And I will turn it back over.
Thank you, Dr. Ginsburg. Thank you again to Dr. Ginsburg, our fantastic panel, Jonice and Carolyn, who are taking questions today, and everybody that has been here today and throughout the weekend. Thank you for being with us this year. To all the participants, the caregivers, and supporters, we could not do any of this without you. Whether you've been here in person or you've been joining virtually, we're so glad that you chose to be with us this weekend. Thank you to our sponsors, our presenting sponsors, AstraZeneca, Gilead, and Lilly. Thank you to our title sponsors, Daiichi Sankyo, Genentech, and Menarini Stemline. Thank you to all of our sponsors and our generous donors. I am also excited to share that our 20th Metastatic Breast Cancer Conference will be here next year. Save the date for April 17th through the 19th. We hope to see all of you here. And Living Beyond Breast Cancer and all of the organizations that you have met and the individuals that you've met this weekend are here where you can find trusted information, education, and support. We are here for you. Take good care and safe travels. Now, we do have just one quick